All right, Kristyna. Kristyna, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Born in Lancaster, um, raised back and forth between South Central LA and Palmdale.
How was your childhood?
For the most part, it was good,
You had both your parents?
somewhat. They weren't together, but it was for the majority of my first beginning of my life. I was told that I had one this guy was my father, and he left. Then never knew who he was up until age 15, when they found him. But then nothing, there was no physical comparison, nothing. He was not my father, and me and my other sister had the same father, so he was already in my life the whole time. So technically, yeah, he was.
Any abuse in your childhood, anything like that?
Just no. Well, it started off normal, sibling fights. Kids, my sisters, me, my mom's sisters, all everybody was fighting. But it was good times too. But the abuse turned different when I was 11.
What happened to love?
My mother allowed a drug dealer to rape me for dope. So
So your mom was an addict?
yeah, she was on and off of meth for 30 years. I've been on and off I've been on and off since I was 17.
And she allowed her dealer to...
Yeah.
You feel like that's changed the direction of your life?
Somewhat. Most people think they're like, oh, that's why you're trans. Not at all. I was like this before that.
You were?
I was. I always knew who I was. But I didn't come out till I was 15. No. Yeah, 15. Like 14 and a half, 15.
How old are you now?
23.
23. And you've been down here in Skid Row for how long?
Well, I don't actually I'm technically homeless. I don't have my own place. But I have a lot of my street family that I've known for years. So I have that have SROs been all around here. So I've stayed with my sister down on the main.
You call them your street family?
No, actually, well, I tell people that so they understand that's not my blood family, but that's my family. They're my family just as if we were blood related. Mm-hmm. So, that's my family.
So you have friends?
Friends, but I don't consider them friends. That's my family. I stayed with my sister, Lily, down the street on 7th and Main. Her SRO for about 2 months. Right now I'm staying with my uncle at his right here at the Ford. My auntie lives right here at the Linden, so right here. But when I'm not staying with them or whatever, it's not physically possible. I'm normally hustle, prostitute, so I can pay for rooms. But then again, I have to go have my uncle get my room for me, or one of my other family members.
And how do you support yourself?
Well, I have EBT and stuff. I prostitute, but
yeah, most of the girls do.
Yeah, but I'm trying to get my escorting license permit, which I just found out about and didn't know it was legal, but it is. So that way, when I do prostitute or whatever, I'll just have to play that.
There's a license for it?
I have a permit for escorting. I don't sell sex.
Wow.
And so I get paid for my time and companionship. That's it.
That's interesting.
That's all it is. Escorts are not supposed to have sex. They're not supposed to be paid for sex. Mm-hmm. The payment is only for time and companionship. Say go to family, escort places. Sometimes sex does get involved, but that, it's a controversial thing. But I currently just recently got my very first job. So I work at West Coast Beauty Hub, which is actually owned by. Um, she's trans, and we're like became friends, but that's also my employer. So, sometimes we get too comfortable. So I remind her, I'm like, yes, we're friends. We're like, I call each other sis and stuff, but then you're still my employer. So, we have to learn how to, manage and separate those two, employer and employee, right? And separate that from, sis and friendship, whatever.
That's a wise move. Are drugs part of your life?
Very much so.
Which one?
Meth. I smoke weed, but who doesn't?
And what does meth do for you?
I don't know. Majority of the time, it's just to stay up. I don't want to dream. I don't want to sleep. Because when I sleep, I have to think. And when I think about too much, and I think about shit negatively. And then it goes other places. But I've learned to kind of cope with it, but now it's mostly just to stay up at night for when I go and prostitute. I go home, make my money. But then I just keep using it, and it eventually built up into an addiction. Because for the longest, when I got a juvenile hall, I always said, I was like, oh, you want to hit that? I'm cool. I'll fuck around.
So you were in juvenile hall as a kid?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of trouble what kind of trouble were you in?
Assault with a deadly weapon and criminal offense, assault a police officer, assault, runaways, mostly assaults and runaways.
And you were running away from
Placements, foster home placements, camp.
And your mom lost you at what age?
She lost me the first time at 8. That's when she lost all of us. She lost all of us, all 8 of us. I'm the youngest out of 8 kids. So when I was 8 years old, we all got taken away. Me and my brother were in a foster home together. Well, at that time it was only 6 of us left, because there's one got adopted and the other 2 they were already adults, so they're already out on their own, but they still lived there. But the rest of us were still minors, so it was me, my brother, and my 2 sisters. And then my other sister was living with our grandmother at the time when she was still alive in Sherman Oaks. So me and my brother and my 2 of my sisters were in a foster home together, same one. Me and my brother were in the same one together. So then I got taken away again when I was 13 because my mom was on drugs. And yeah, I remember that day very well. Yeah, I was like, yeah, you guys are not taking me. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not. No. Yes, you guys already did it once before. I ran, and my sister ran right across the middle of the street, ran to a desert. I was in Honda at the time, and my social worker was chasing me in heels. And at the time, it was before my transition, so I hadn't transitioned yet. So they were still calling me by my real name, which was Kevin. So, yeah.
What was the best time of your life?
To be honest, throughout my life and at this point, I've dealt with so much fucked up things I can't even remember.
What was the worst time of your life?
I don't know. I've had so many. Most people would think it would be me going to prison, but actually it's not. Actually, I would say prison was actually a pretty good experience for me. I wouldn't go back, because if I didn't go to prison, I wouldn't be able to humble myself as I do today. Because before, if somebody had called me a faggot or a punk or a bitch, I would just start. We're fighting. That's it. It was no talking about it. No, there was nothing. No reconciliation. I was beating your ass, and that was that. Now it's more so I have to humble myself. Just like, bitch, you're lucky. But it just recently it just comes to a point where motherfuckers, they just keep trying me, I don't know if they think it's because I'm nice. At heart, I'm really a nice person, or if they think I'm just because of how I look like a slow, innocent, little sweet white, you know. So I have to live like, don't take my kindness for this, and don't let this look for you. I will still fuck you up. I'm still an asshole, but I try not to be. But people push my hand, and they like to get a smart mouth, and my hands like to get. My hands like to talk back too much. But I try my hardest to refrain from that. I'm not trying to go back to prison, so.
So, this time you spent living like this on the streets, using drugs, all that, how do you think you've changed because of...
Is that how I think I changed?
Yeah, being in this environment.
I've changed a lot. It's humbled me. It has hardened me.
You get streetwise, I know that.
Well, I was already street savvy from a very, very young age, trying to follow my brother and sister running through the streets. We used to go on these little things called missions where we would, my brother and sister would both have a bike. I'd be on the pegs of one of them, and we'll go drive down one of the little dark streets, whatever, and we would steal people's bikes off the porch, and we're gonna take them apart or whatever, either sell parts or sell bikes and make bikes and God, you name it.
You still talk with your family?
Yeah. I try to talk to my mom most often now because her health isn't so good. But I've forgiven her finally, but it took a long time. I barely just forgave her, like about 3 years ago, or within the last 3 years.
What do you worry about?
Too much.
What kind of things do you worry about?
Going back to jail. My mother's health, my sister's health now, because I was just now told that she has cystic fibrosis, and she also has type of cancer. I don't know what kind, and I'd rather not know because it would really bother me. And she's also pregnant too right now, so and she'd do anytime. She just has to get dilated to 10 whatever it's called. So.
What's your biggest regret?
Huh?
What's your biggest regret?
I don't regret anything. I have no regrets. I wouldn't go back and change anything. I want to be who I am today if I did. So I don't regret anything I do, anything I've done. I don't regret people I've hurt. None of that. Because to me, it's all a life learning lesson, so you learn from what you do.
All right, Kristyna. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thanks.
I wish you the best of luck out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.